$2 billion at the box office. That's what could happen from two distinctly non-woke films that could cause a full reset of Hollyweird as they get their butts in gear, realizing, it turns out audiences don't want Ella McCabe, they don't want The Bride, they don't want the stuff we've brought their way over the last 10, 15 years. Today we'll tell you why it's a new era right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel that continues to explain entertainment, keeps you ahead of the culture curve. As we dive in today, click the like button, drop a comment, subscribe. And if you've not checked out our Patreon, it's www.patreon.com/WDWPro. We're calling it Project Hail Mario. Like Barbenheimer before, and definitely not like Doomsday, Hollywood is on the way to a huge win. But this time, they're not friends with the kind of content that is going to make them lots of money and save the box office. We'll explain why. Out of Forest by Connor Murray, near perfect critic rating for Ryan Gosling's Project Hail Mary could be Amazon's first blockbuster. Hip hip hooray! Says for the top line, Project Hail Mary, a science fiction space exploration movie slated for release in just a week, is earning raves from critics as Amazon bets big on what could be its first real blockbuster, with the studio hoping the $200 million budgeted movie turns a profit. Now that means, if we consider marketing as well, this is probably going to need at least $600 million to break even, okay? That puts it into Superman territory. Can it do it? Well, in this case, folks, it doesn't need to break even at the box office necessarily. It can come in a little lower because it's going to be hosted on Amazon, where it's going to make money via Amazon Prime. So let's say that it makes $100 million there. It only needs $500 million at the box office, we think, to do pretty darn well. And it looks like it might do even better than pretty darn well. Reviews for Project Hail Mary started rolling in Tuesday morning. The movie stands at a near perfect 95% score on Rotten Tomatoes from the first 61 critics. Now, the reason that matters is because Amazon does not enjoy the kind of goodwill that automatically arrives when some studio like Disney puts out their stuff. When they put out operas, for example, everybody's inclined to give them a thumbs up because they want to work with Disney. Amazon doesn't have that same kind of cachet, that kind of sway with the Hollywood intelligentsia. So a 95% is a big, big deal. The Project Hail Mary movie, by the way, is heading now for a $100 million potential opening. It was listed at 80. They're talking about it maybe getting up to 100. And the question is, can it get to 500 for its overall global box office haul? If it does so, look out, because not only is it on the way, but Mario 1 week later. And the long-range forecast for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, now 150 million plus, but actually going up on the 5-day to 175 and climbing. This could be a movie that makes 180 on the 5-day. Ultimately, they're saying that Mario may make $1.5 billion, even outdoing the original if it follows along the same pattern. Now, the reason this matters so much is because Hollywood does not care for either of these movies in terms of what they're doing, right? These are not following along with The Bride. It's not following along with Snow White. It's not following along with what Hollywood said that you all were going to like. Hey, Ghostbusters 2016, we're still living in your shadow in Tinseltown. Project Hail Mary and Mario, they're back to something else. They're back into the 90s, the early 2000s. And it turns out audiences want to see those films again, to the tune of perhaps $2 billion at the box office. And if it makes $2 billion at the box office, these two films combined at this time, then the box office is looking like maybe 1/6 or 1/7 of the entire haul comes from these two films. Decidedly not woke at all. Kara, this is very exciting to me because, frankly, we need good news. I'm tired of reporting that Hollywood is losing, not because I think that Hollywood should be saved, but because there needs to be something that we can aim for. And these two films, if they combine together for $2 billion, there's no way studio execs can ignore it any longer. They're going to have to say, yeah, that's actually what audiences want, and we're going to give it to them. What do you think? Will this be a reset when it comes to what we should expect out of the box office?
I hope so. I mean, Project Hail Mary, I'm going to see it next Monday. I got the tickets to the early screening, and it's the first time I've been to a movie in months. Like I haven't gone to the movies in months just because like there hasn't been anything that's really drawn me there. And Project Hail Mary and Super Mario Galaxy are both movies that are probably the only two movies that I'll go watch this year. Maybe I'll go see Dune. That's at the end of the year, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But I pray that this is a reset, because I mean, we need the proof that like this is what the audience actually wants. This is what's actually going to get people to leave their houses and not just default to watching it off of Amazon or Apple or whatever. We need something that's actually going to draw them to the theaters. Like, you've got Project Hail Mary, which is going to be the big sci-fi, which is going to be amazing in IMAX. Is it in IMAX? I think it's. I can't remember if it's going to be in IMAX.
Yes,
but it's one that you will want to go see in a big screen. And I mean, I still remember whenever I went and saw Mario in theaters whenever it launched, and it was an experience. And these are the experiences that actually get viewers there. And I'm excited. This is what we need this year. Now, is that going to be the common trajectory? What's the word? Trajectory of the numbers this year? I don't know. Maybe it's the only spike that we'll get this year. But I'm excited. I'm going to go see both of them. And hopefully it is the wake-up call that these big studios need.
Now, what I am so excited about when it comes to the Mario movie is there seems to be very little cynicism. And I think that's shared also with Project Hail Mary. When I'm watching the trailers, I just see excitement and wonder and curiosity. I don't see what's come about in modernity where we have to be cynical and negative about the future. I see lots of bright colors and happiness. And I'm just, Project Hail Mary feels a little bit like E.T. to me, except with the human going in the spaceship instead of the alien coming down to Earth. And then with Mario, this one, it's just like they bundled up all the fun you can imagine and just put it on the screen.
Well,
so,
what's funny is there's actually a heavy climate change and climate apocalypse message that's in the background of the premise of the story for Project Hail Mary.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mario. I was like, no, what happened to the Mushroom Kingdom?
Please, no. But at the same time, the story itself, even though things get dark, as all good stories do at some point, it's still I'm not going to spoil it. It's a very hopeful message the entire way through.
And we need hope. Hope, I think, is important. I think people want to go back to the movies for a sense of wonder. Yeah, I worked that in, Mario Wonder. I worked it in. Nat, what do you think when you see the bright and fun colors and you see the trailer? It's very Spielbergian, when it comes to Project Hail Mary. What do you think? Is this what people want in movies? And is this going to be a defining moment this year?
I hope so, but I also remember, for example, Top Gun. Everybody thought that was going to be like a breaking point from the craziness to more sane actual storytelling in movies, and then we got a bunch of.
Boy, that's a great point. And Spider-Man: No Way Home 2, and then they wouldn't go back and that's a great point.
But I'll also say right now, I think we're approaching the about 2.5 year period from when the time was at its craziest, or one of its craziest points. And when people and maybe some studios started to decide trying other things or things that worked before, or actually telling stories that people care about. And the production timeline for that is usually, well, it depends on the movie, but 2 years, 2.5 years, 1.5 years sometimes. And we have been seeing other movies where they've tried to take some of that away through reshoots or through re-scripting certain things, but you can still tell that it's like a mishmash of different ideas, that because the audience reaction or the test audience reaction was so bad, they had to go back and change things. But I think with these movies, even just from trailers or from people's reviews, it is seeming like it's a cohesive, coherent, proper story all the way through. So maybe we're approaching that era when studios started realizing they needed some sort of change and go for the change since the beginning. But I also remember, once again, Top Gun Maverick and a bunch of other movies that gave us hope and then took it away.
Yeah, and then you had the Spider-Man No Way Home that was just so well received. And instead of us getting more movies like that, we seem to go back a little bit. So I'm with you on that. Culture, what do you think? Because Hollywood, the elites there, the celebrities, they can't stand this stuff. The idea that Ken himself is going to come back and get another win, and it's focused on him, they're not going to like that. And then they don't like the idea that Japan and their characters are winning over the West. They don't, so there's a real desire that people go and see the stuff that, one battle after another, for example. Why won't they go watch it? Why won't they go watch Ella McKay? Do you think Hollywood's going to finally say to themselves, we got to make this stuff. This is what the audience wants.
Well, I think they're going to be forced to. I think that's ultimately the conversation. Look, these corporations exist to generate profit. These films are supposed to make money. The studios need to make money. The streaming is an artificial limb for them right now that they rely on to maybe sell their product on the secondary market outside of what their primary market should be, which is theaters. Theaters were the bread and butter. Going to, jumping through the hoops to make it available and streaming so fast. Well, somebody's going against that right now. I believe Universal came out and they're extending their theatrical windows beyond the 45 days. I think they're taking them to 5+ weeks. 5+ weekends, excuse me. So, and I could be highlighting the wrong folks, but I do believe it is them. And if that's the case, I mean, everybody realizes where their bread is buttered. And now we're starting to see, movies return, as you guys were already commenting, to things that are more familiar storylines, traditional, heroes' journeys, things like that. I think the return to the 80s conversations actually, an interesting one right now with both Sylvester Stallone and Arnold getting back into the business full time. The commentary around, making Hollywood great again. I think it's going to take a lot of completely contrarian voices when you take a look at who Paramount's hiring right now to make material for them. It's all the canceled people that got pushed out because of the hashtag Me Too baloney sausage and everything that went along with the Time's Up craptasticness. So when I look at that, I'm very hopeful for the future, and I see the return of traditional sci-fi coming back with Project Hail Mary and the new Spielberg film coming out, Disclosure. I couldn't be more excited. I already have purchased my tickets for Project Hail Mary. And I'll be seeing that and doing a review immediately. Then I've already purchased my tickets for Super Mario Galaxy. I'm going to a midnight showing, and I'm old. So that tells you how excited I am to see that on the biggest possible format you can. This is IMAX Plus. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm just going to say that there are hopeful movies out there, and we should get excited about those and support them. I mean, if you're going to use your entertainment budget in a very tight and conservative way, spend it on the things that are going to you're going to truly get joy out of. I'm afraid that not enough people do that.
Absolutely. Project Hail Mario, folks. It's going to be a big deal. I think it's a turning point. We shall see. They're always reticent to give in to what we've been telling them all along was the way to win, and that is giving you what you want. And yet again, folks, we have come to the end. But what a video it has been, and we hope you agree. Folks, if you had a good time with us, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. We care about your thoughts. Folks, we also want to invite you to partake in thatparkplace.com. Of course, www. You get the idea. Thatparkplace.com. It is the website telling the truth, and it is a rising star across the web for pop culture news coverage and analysis. Go over there and bookmark it today. Folks, we're bookmarking you as a great guest that we appreciate. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, folks, you better believe it, keep having fun.